Hello, Trojans. This is Frostee Rucker on the Take Back the West podcast. Catchy name, right? Because we're taking back the West. We're here on the Believe Network. This podcast is sponsored by betonline.ag. That's where you can place your prop bets, anything you see out there. I'm not a big betting guy, but I dabble every once in a while. So go to betonline.ag and place your bets today. So, today we had a chance to sit and visit with Coach Vic So'oto, the D-line coach, newly hired, tons of energy, impactful. This is a great interview, great sit down. We've all been sitting around wanting a little insight of what's going on, scrimmages happening, the COVID deal, how they have gelled together with a new staff. Here, Take Back the West podcast. It's Frosty. Let's get to it. Coach Vic, man, good to see you. Good to see you. What's going on?
Yeah, man, excited. We just finished up at the Coliseum, just finished our final scrimmage, and just itching to get back in the office to get after Arizona State.
I bet, man. We, us fans, not just alumni, us fans have been itching to hear what's going on, what have been some of the things that you guys have been practicing. Is it situational things, throwing in a new defense? Can you walk us through what's been going on?
Yeah, so a lot of it was kind of a, getting to know you type deal at the beginning of this fall real semester in September, because we had been on Zoom for so long. We hadn't been in person, and so really getting to know the guys, how they learned, right, and how they took teaching, and then installing defense when we could, and getting them ready. So right now it's one, understanding how we coach and how Coach Orlando thinks, I think, has been the biggest thing through this camp. And then how it benefits each player and how each call has a value, regardless of if you're just going to contain, right, up front as a D lineman. There's a way I teach them that they're not a decoy, so that they can actually impact the play, being one of the 11 at any point.
Right.
And then understanding, the little details of the game and what Coach Orlando thinks during, specific sections of the game and specific situations, and then bringing energy and a mindset, every time they walk onto that practice field, and especially when they walk into the Coliseum, that there's something different. There's a flip, a switch that's got to be flipped,
right,
in order to play the Trojan way. So a lot of stuff has happened in the past, few months, but specifically the past 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, where we actually got to practice, and it's been great. It's been awesome.
It's very refreshing to hear, man. I know I've been on the outside, just wondering how these guys were taken to the Zoom meetings. I've been wondering who stepped up as a leader to work out when they couldn't be around campus. So I know the rest of the alumni are anxious to see the finished product. I'm sure this has been a very growing time for you too, like not just, these kids, you're brand new, finally getting a chance to be in front of them. Interesting enough to say, the first time we've actually met, we met at a basketball game, but that was via me reaching out on Twitter in the DM. So look, people, I don't understand Twitter. I don't like writing stuff. I just retweet. But when they signed you, I was like, I have to get to this guy. I have to meet him. Reading up about you and your journey from BYU, the legacy, playing how you did it the hard way, coaching at BA, doing your thing. I'm juiced for it. So reached out, and guys, he met up with me. That was how cool. The basketball game, the last public outing I had. What was that? March 7th. USC with UCLA, and obviously we won. But
which was a great game, and then the feelings mutual, man. You've been one of my heroes, man. There's guys that just play the right way, and growing up in Southern California, I knew right as a defensive guy, every name of the D lineman up there, and honestly, if you could clone yourself and put you back to when you're 17 and 18, man, and give me like 4 of y'all, then we'll go take the field with a bunch of young Frostee Ruckers, bro.
It's awesome, man. I played alongside a lot of great guys, man, a lot of great guys, and they really set the tone for me to let me know how to practice, what it was to be a Trojan, you know, because, you know, when I first got in, it was Sean Cody, Mike Patterson, Kenichi Udeze, Omar Nazel. You know, I was a rotating guy, got a chance to start. Those guys went off to the league, and then I was, quote unquote, the old dog on the D line, and I raised up Cedric Ellis and Lawrence Jackson and Philly Mwala and, you know, all these different guys. And, you know, it was all about setting the tone. Coach O set the tone in our room and let us know there wasn't an off day. We were going to run the ball. We were going to be the baddest dudes. When we tapped into Howard Jones,
oh yeah,
you know, there's something about that cardinal and gold and the tradition that comes behind it. So it was an honor playing there. And, you know, if you were a fan back in the day, because obviously I'm showing my age, not only from the Grays, but if you were a fan of mine back then, that means you saw some good ball. And we pride ourselves about that. So it means a lot to hear that you respected it, you know?
Yeah, totally. So I'll actually share an experience. So we just finished up, you know, our last scrimmage out in the Collie, and I talked to the defense. We all kind of went around and spoke to the defense as defensive coaches. And my message to them was, you know, 2 things. One, that I loved them, loved every one of them. You know, I love every one of our guys, and do what I do for them, you know. And then 2 is that I envied them. And I said, I sat in those seats right over there, right in that corner over there, and I watched a game here, and all I wanted to do was be a Trojan, you know. And so you have this opportunity to actually come out here on the field, wear the helmet, to put the cleats on, put the pads on, and go out and play. And it's a short window of time that you get to take advantage of, and the next thing you know, it's gone. But never forget that there are a lot of people out there that want to be in your shoes. And as you take the field, as you go to class, as you do all these things, you've got to understand, you know, you're lucky. You are lucky to be here at USC and to be a Trojan. And then even on the bad days, especially on the bad days, to take advantage of everything you got and be grateful for what you got. Like I was getting in, pushing some of the guys in the room, and I just said, you gotta be grateful for this. Like, you know, the worst thing would be is if I stopped talking to you and didn't push you.
They don't understand how true that is, right? You go to the next level, it really gets real. The coach ain't even talking to you.
Oh, that's a wrap. You looking for that notice or somebody to come tell you to bring your playbook up. You know what I mean?
Reaper.
When you're in the league. So just letting them know the opportunity they really have here at USC. I think sometimes you get into it and you just think football, my body is hurting and I got all this stuff due. And but when you take a second to sit back and really look at where you are and the time that you are here, to really take advantage of it, I think it's something that you can't take for granted, especially with all these young guys that just, you know, think it's going to last forever, right?
Oh, how that rings. I know one thing when I was at FC, one thing that was said that stuck with me was either going to be on the good side of history or the bad side. But while you're at SC, you're part of the history.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I love that.
Fire in my butt every time I tapped into Howard Jones, because it was like we had to compete so hard. We had Coach Carroll. We had Competition Tuesday where he put, you know, your good, bad, and the ugly on the film and let everybody laugh at you or cheer you on. You didn't want to be on there for anything negative. So we pushed each other so hard. And I'm just hoping that resonates with these guys nowadays to understand, to be great, you got to be able to go in that darkness. And, you know, there's going to be dark days and the coach is going to get on you and your body's going to be really, really sore, right? But you got to press forward, especially if you're in the top of that food chain and you're starting or something. There's guys behind you that you got to set the tone, because on any team that I played on, Vic, any team, any opportunity I got, I was like, I have to leave this better than I got it.
Exactly.
You know, so it was that much important when I moved up in those chairs in the meeting room. It was that much important that the next guy understood how to practice, how to lock his arms out and set the edge, and how important it was to set the edge, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on in our D-line room? How are the guys competing? How are they taking on your coaching style, the energy? What's going on? Talk to us about our guys.
It's funny, man. I tell them all the time that you're going to be tired before you get to anything. Like you're going to, like my whole job is for you to, one, understand what to do and how to do it, right? And do it with some violence and physicality, and then get you dog tired and go up against someone that's fresh and you still do it. You know, that my mindset is having them understand why they're doing it, obviously, but doing it while they're dog tired. Like that's where the greats live. I tell them over and over, when they're tired and they're running off the field, I'm like, this is where the greats live. The greats live right here. And if you take a deep breath and you embrace this point right now, this moment, and live in it, then you'll go beyond, you know, what you can fathom. And so it took there was some squirming and trying to run and hide, but
no, you can't.
I got 5 kids, man. I'm good at hide and seek, so I found them.
I love it, man. I love it, you know, and
yeah.
I get it. But I've been in those seats, and, you know, you got to stay on them, coach. You got to stay on them if you're going to push them to be great men and, you know, great fathers, and you're already great sons and uncles. And even if football doesn't even work out down the line, what they're learning now, being a Trojan and being a defensive lineman, at that, you're different.
Totally.
You're different.
Absolutely.
You got more skill set than anyone out there because you're big, you can run. You don't just go straight. You got to run to the ball. You got to get through somebody. There's not a play you ain't going to hit nobody. So you got to be tough. You can't run from it, Vic.
You can't run. Can't run. So I told him today, or at the beginning of camp, I'm like, you think this stuff is hard? Like, what's hard is being a single mom and losing your job because COVID hit. That's hard. Traveling somewhere to get something done, or not being able to feed your family, like, that's hard. This ain't hard, right? This is it hurts a little bit, but it ain't hard. Right?
Yeah.
You want real hard. You want to go walk down the street, man. You see hard. That's hard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's changing the mindset of where they look for challenge, right? Where they look for competition, where they seek it. They seek 3rd and long after 13 plays in a row, because that's the good stuff right there. So it's been awesome. And Marlon, I would say, Tuipulotu has been far and away the leader in the room. You know, he's had a lot of experience, but shows up to everything ready to work, has every answer, and then asks real questions. You know, I've been in meeting rooms where some of my teammates would just ask questions they knew the answers to, just so they look good in front of the coach. But everybody in the meeting room, no, you just ask them questions. Those guys, right? And but everything he looks at, I can see what he's seeing, and where his mind is going, where you're detailed in your work.
I love it.
You know, and understanding how to beat an offensive lineman in pass rush when their weight is shifted, and like just really, really good questions. And it's progressed our room because I allow everybody to speak, right? But then when you hear Marlon speak, it's like, oh,
yeah,
right.
He's like, oh, I got a real one that really is. He's taking on your coaching and your education, and he wants to know why, right? Because you're putting it out there, and a lot of guys, they won't give you anything back. They just sit there and say, "Oh, I'm taking a note." No, because they're a little tongue twisted. They don't want to say anything to you. They don't want to say anything dumb, you know. But you get one of those guys. I was fortunate to have a lot of those guys, right, that weren't intimidated with Coach O. In that aspect, they felt like he had all the answers, and that's the type of coach I know you are, just from reading and listening and watching podcasts. I know that you're giving them the breakdown of when, why, and how you're going to do it. Watching puts, pre-snaps, stances, alignments, how tight they are, how much they're on the ball, when to scoot back a little bit. I know it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the education of football, and that's what really blossomed me in the D-line room.
Yeah.
I came in as a linebacker.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. I was a linebacker. Me and Lofa
Boy,
Tatubu,
you were
dog.
fast, man.
Me and Loaf, we came in, and the room was too crowded, and Coach Carroll put me to the side. It was like, I see your body type, bro, and you can make a lot of money if you switch. And I was like, you know, I had an ego. No, I came here to play backer, man.
Yeah,
No, he
yeah,
was like, trust me on this one. So I was
yeah,
like, you know what? At this rate, I want to hear my name called in the Coliseum. I want my
yeah,
mama and them to be in the stands. I want, you know, everybody down the street to know who I was. You know, it meant so much. And I was like, you know, bump the ego. And from that point on, when I made that switch for me, my whole ego and all that, that's what blossomed me to have a 13-year career.
mm,
Because I knew from that point, if I can get away from my own self
right,
and like get out of my comfort zone of what I thought I was doing, right? It just
right,
proved that I could do other things and I was more of a football player because I could transition into something else and I could believe in the system, believe in I can trust the process.
exactly. That's totally it, man. And that's my job. Like my job is to make them uncomfortable
Yeah.
every day, over and over and over again until that's all they know is to get to that uncomfortable spot and to perform. So it's been a lot of fun. Up to this point, we've had gone back and forth with the offense. You know, the great thing about it is you're going against a great offense
Oh,
and a
yeah.
great offensive coordinator with guys all over the place. And so being able to see that day in and day out, I know it helps us, but it gets us better. But it also is going to get us, you know, game ready quicker because of the offense we're seeing and similarities in offenses that we're going to see in the Pac-12.
Right.
But I believe, you know, it's what we run. It's at the highest level. So it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
Vic, will you walk us through yourself, Dante, Todd coming in, how you guys have meshed and has Todd's philosophies trickled down and the understandings there for you coaches, you know, because you guys are all new. I'm sure with COVID, you guys had more time to meet.
Right.
So or have you guys really got a good understanding? So going into this fall camp, you guys have been glued in and on the same page. Can you walk us through that so our fans and listeners know what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the past, at Virginia, I was actually in charge of breaking down Coach Orlando's film every
Really?
year. And so back when he was in Houston, he did a really good job against a guy named Lamar Jackson, who we had to play in in the season. And Houston went out there and just like killed it, right? So a lot of these concepts I know and I understand, but knowing the why, I think has been the greatest thing for me is being able to see why he does things and you know why he calls certain calls and on in certain situations. So the background of the X's and O's have always been there for me personally. And then there's kind of like a crossing where he was at Utah State and I was at BYU, and so there are a lot of similar things that we just didn't have to go over. Right?
Terminology is the same.
We didn't have to go over a lot of D-line play or you know what he expects because at Virginia we ran something very, very similar.
Okay.
So that's been really good as far as cohesion goes, where I know before he says it what he wants or where he wants D lineman to be.
Terminology wasn't far off or anything like that?
No, terminology wasn't far off or wasn't hard, you know, to pick up. And then Dante and Craig, they just been filled with fire. You know, I think Craig, he's like a walking energy ball when he gets out on the field, man. Like he's a walking monster energy drink, man. You're around him, you can hear him and he's yelling and he's fired up. Dante is more laid back, but when he needs to, he gets up, you know, and when he needs to make a point, you know, he'll get going. But there's a really cool balance between the four of us.
That's good.
And you know, Orlando, when I was thinking about coming over here, he said, I'm looking to make a band And I don't want any other band, man. I want to make the Beatles. I want the best. And this was before Dante was hired. And he goes, I got, I'll be with the linebackers. Craig will have the safeties. And we got you, and we got another guy that's coming that I think will be the best. We'll have the best staff in the country. And I believe that to this day. We're excited to come to work and work together. And more importantly, we're not jerks, man. Like in this business, there are some guys that have big egos, and you gotta kind of work around those things. And with us, it's an open book. We take and converse and work through problems together.
Right.
And then we're one when we get onto the practice field and when we get into the games. I think that's the biggest thing is, you as a player, you can tell when coaches aren't on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
They'll say little things to undermine another coach, and you're really dysfunctional, And so for us, meshing together, these past 3 weeks have been really, really good. Have been really productive for us as a staff.
Yeah, man, that's great, man. I mean, that's all when it comes down to it, as fans and whatnot, have been looking at the transitions that were happening and how you guys were all acquired and wondering if it was going to mesh the right way. Obviously, there was energy, then COVID hit. It's like, how are they going to do their jobs? We don't know what's going on. And then you guys can't completely say everything and be completely transparent with what's going on behind the scenes. So, no one really knew how you guys were directing Zoom calls or anything like that. We knew that was going on. But
Right.
How do I put this? It's just really good to sit here and hear that you guys are working together. There's no undermining. Obviously, there hasn't been really any tests besides COVID on the field. But, going through COVID has built a lot of relationships on and off the field that somehow with more time, you can actually take the conversation and learn someone and really get the ins and outs of why they would call that call or, why you would want that guy to have his hands here. And maybe it's something that he wasn't thinking and you brought it up. And has he given you the freedom to call your stunts, or are you impacted on the run game? Or are you on third down? How do you guys call your games and whatnot?
Yeah. So I won't give away too much, but I would say it's collective. You know what I'm saying? It's a collective deal where we all see the same things and have all different ideas and different experiences. And so we work through them. Like I was saying before, is, Dante might say, well, we used to do this. And Craig will say, well, but Texas or Houston, we do this. And I'll bring my experiences, and then we'll just, all agree on we're going to do this, right? And a lot goes back to, what Orlando's used to. And, getting our guys to play fast and having things similar, I think helps as far as trying to install this system without making it too complicated, right? So as we work through these things, it's really a collective deal of how or what we're doing to change our game plan or, install defense.
Awesome. All right, so I got something for you.
All right.
Take back the West. This phrase, this meaning, this belief, this goal, this illusion, this promise. When we say take back the West, it was so good that I named the podcast after it, obviously. I'm a bite you guys for that, but I feel part of it because I had Cardinal and Gold on. So I'm a part of this Take Back the West. I'm a fan. Take back the West. What does it mean when you say that in recruiting?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's to take back what's ours. Yeah. And it started with Dante. He had the idea and kind of threw it out there, and we ran with it, but if you're within the vicinity of the Coliseum, there should be no other place you think of going than here. and I'm talking vicinity, I'm talking the Western states, right? There's no other place to be than a USC Trojan. And so as we go through this thing and as we've recruited, I think what you'll see with this class, where they come from matters, right? Who they are matters. Obviously, being having the ability to be a Trojan and a Trojan in the right way is a prerequisite. But then where they come from, man, it really matters. And it's put a stamp on our name and you know, our school of this is who we're looking for. This is what we really, really want, right? This is what we really want. And then it'll just go out and take over really the country, man. That's the ultimate goal. You know, first we're taking this part over and taking back what's ours. And then everybody in the country is going to want to be a Trojan.
So basically, anywhere you can get an In-N-Out burger, you need to come to see, right?
Absolutely.
Anywhere In-N-Out is served, you should
Right.
be becoming a Trojan. And that's very smart. It's take back the West. I agree. Something that when I was at SC, we took back the whole West Coast. Oregon wasn't getting our players. Washington weren't getting them. And then we cherry picked around the country and got who we wanted.
Exactly.
And we had a little bit of that seasoning from all over. And it was great.
Right.
It was a great mix. So I love the idea of that. Take back the West. How does the guys that are currently there, how are they taking that? Do they feel a part of it? Do they feel like, was I not doing it before? Or is the energy there? To walk us through the guys that are currently have been at SC with this new swag and quote coming in.
Yeah, I think my experience with the guys, I think, you know, they want it, right? That's kind of what they've been yearning for, something to hold on to, I think, and a new battle cry, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And they understand. They got classmates, right? They grew up over here. They got classmates going to other places, and they understand what it means. And they understand that it starts in the Coliseum with us winning, right? And so, getting back to our winning ways and the tradition of having high caliber football teams, it goes right back to the players in that locker room.
Yeah.
Right. It starts with them first, and then as we go and add to it, right, it's got to build upon, not chop off, you know, that locker room in there. So those guys they're excited. You know, they're all in on it, and we're just itching to show it, right? And we'll see what we'll just let the chips fall where they may, and we push them really, really hard, and we're just really excited.
That's good. Arizona State,
right?
Big game coming up. To start off with that team, they're emerging. They got great coaching. They got speed. They got people at every position. They got everything across the board. They're a really solid team in the Pac-12. Can you walk us through the challenges and the areas where we know we have to come up strong? Is it up front? Is it, you know, full team? Talk us through that.
Yeah, I think anytime, you know, you're facing an opponent that doesn't have actual film, you know, of them with their players and calling plays and running the plays, right, with a new offensive coordinator, I think that's difficult. And for us, it's really an entire defensive thing that we've got to understand, you know, what is trying to get done. You know, what different sets mean, kind of really the basics of you know, game planning and getting ready for games, but then also not having the film of the actual players doing it. So it's kind of two separate things. You feel what a player does in a certain play, right, and then understand how he moves, but then you got to put him into, well, how would he move in the scheme? So there are a lot of moving parts, man, a lot of different things. We have a really good coaching staff, really good quarterback. You mentioned everything that's fast, big up front. And so we're excited, just getting ready for the challenge.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Coach Vic, man, it's a pleasure to have you on here. The insight, the energy, the knowledge of what's going on is what us fans, alumni, and the people out here on the West Coast want to know, hear, and understand. I just wanted to tell you, for me, we're rooting for you guys. We feel the rise of greatness coming back. We feel that you guys have purpose. And, you know, if you could reiterate that to the players, that they have our full support out here. We're all in on Take Back the West. And we're excited to see what you guys come out there with your product. And hopefully you can come on again and shed some light during the season and give us a little insight where no one else will get. So, you know, I'm going to be coming to you, Vic.
That D-line connection run deep, man. I just want to thank you for having me on. I think it's always, at least for me, being here now, right, or whatever place you're in, you always want to honor those that have come before by doing things that they've done in the past and trying to surpass them, trying to beat them, right? And so I had this conversation with EA. Like, you see juniors on the wall over there, you're in the same spot, the same age. You know what I mean? How you honor somebody is playing, especially in football, is playing this game violently, physically, and putting that Trojan stamp, you know, when you come into the Coliseum. We talk about it every day in our D-line room, man. I talk about pride and fear. That when you wear that logo, when you put your helmet on, man, it's pride. When you have gone through the fire, you have pride. You're proud of it. And then if you don't have that logo on, it's fear. They should be fearful.
Yeah.
If they do not have that logo on and you walking in the Coliseum, your body should be full of fear. So we're honored, right? Honored to be here. And then hopefully make the alumni proud with how we play.
And we think you will. We're all rooting for you guys, like I said again. And until we do this again, this is the Take Back the West podcast. Frostee Rucker with Coach Vic. We're going to be keeping it real. And best of luck to you, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you. Fight on.
You got it, bud.